Since you've been involved in franchising now for almost 4 years, what's been like the biggest surprise that you guys have had, or epiphany?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, I think as far as surprises, the biggest one, some of our people that are brand new we just had someone from the call center that worked for Rachel here in the call center. So we have a 2-story building. The top story is just call center people. And we used her for role play with franchisees for 3 years. And then she said, hey, I want to do this. And she immediately ramped up. And within 3 to 4 months, she took her husband off the road. He was a truck driver.
Yeah.
100 grand plus a year. She took him off the road, replaced his salary, and she had like no training experience, and she ramped up faster than like some of our people that had come from corporate because she was so hungry, and she literally just followed the systems because she had no, real experience. She wasn't in sales, wasn't in training.
Right.
Just all the systems. And yeah, she had a huge why. So I think that was a big
she had
this
a
is
huge
awesome.
why.
It's getting nailed out.
Yeah.
We were her first job in the U.S. She's actually Australian. She was from Australia. She came over here in 2020. What a time to come to America.
Seriously.
I mean, she was amazing. She's just awesome. She worked in our call center for a couple of years. And like Ryan said, she's probably, I don't know, like she's crushing it now. She has got to take her husband off the road and has just gone through every single process. And having no training experience whatsoever, she is keeping so many dogs out of shelters in Idaho. So we're excited for her.
Yeah, her up ramp was faster than some of the people that came with experience from corporate. And it was a big surprise because she literally just followed the systems and didn't really try to do anything else. She just was like, okay, do this, do this, do this. And she just ramped it as hard and fast as possible. And it was super. She was our latest one. So it was just big surprise to see that.
And well, Ryan, you hit the magic word, and that was hunger.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do we? What's her name?
Yasmin.
Yasmin. How do we find more Yasmins?
Right. Well, ask you that, Frank.
It's not easy. I would tell you though, the one trick that I am a huge believer in is using a behavioral assessment tool like a predictive index or a culture index or a DISC, whatever you want to use. What I have found is that when I first franchised, I was bringing on people who I liked and people who I thought were going to be a right fit, but I brought on people who liked sports. And I quickly found out that really had nothing to do with being successful in business until I had gotten my first franchisee in South Florida who self-proclaimed knew nothing about sports. And he ended up being an absolute rock star because he had business acumen. And then suddenly I realized, wait a minute, liking sports was actually a detriment, or like loving sports, I should say, was a detriment to my franchise because coming with preconceived notions of what they thought maybe the sport should be or how it should be done ended up getting in the way. And so using a behavioral assessment, first of all, I love because it will tell you how this person is going to be in terms of their patience level, or how formal or informal, how outgoing they're going to be, or how much they're going to have more of a dominant behavior. And it wasn't like having one of these behavioral assessment tools, whether it's predictive index or a culture index. It's not like it set the world on fire overnight that I found who was going to be a great franchisee. But what it did was it helped tell me who was not going to be a good franchise owner. Because if you think about it, if somebody did the behavioral assessment and it came back that they're not very assertive, I can't make them get out of bed in the morning and run their business. Some people think owning a franchise means you're just successful, right? As soon as I bought a franchise and I'm going to have money rolling in. We all know that doesn't work like that.
Nope.
And the same thing with on the patience level. It's really interesting because we want franchise owners who are patient, not too patient. They have to have a sense of impatience where they have that urge and that get up and go.
Yeah.
Yasmin has that. I know without even seeing her, her predictive index assessment or culture index, I kind of know what it's going to look like. And so I can't necessarily tell you how we're going to find more of her, but I could tell you that by using a behavioral assessment and having her and having your other franchise owners take an assessment tool, it will better give you a profile on what does it look like. And I don't want to try to, pigeonhole everybody into having the same sort of personality, but what you're inevitably going to do is you're going to save not just yourselves, but you're going to save somebody who maybe is not a right fit for your franchise. And something that, not that I'm judging just the behavioral assessment, but it's going to be the things that you picked up on, and it's going to confirm. The assessment tool will confirm the things that you already kind of intuitively know. And you can have that conversation, because we don't want people to fail.
Right.
But if they're not a right fit for your profile, then we're better off having them find a system, have a franchise that they can succeed in doing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, again, I don't consider this just like the holy grail, but it is definitely one tool in your toolbox. I highly recommend. It's worked for me.
Okay. Yeah, we're excited to implement that.
And for employees too. This is not just for franchise owners. I think for employees, it's outstanding. It really does help a lot. Anyway, well, that's my tip for the day.
Yeah.
What about challenges, mistakes? I love getting into this. Would you be willing to share maybe a challenge or a mistake you guys made early on and fixed?
Yes. So one mistake early on is not auditing. We use external marketing companies.
Okay.
Not bringing in another marketing company that's not trying to get our business to audit whoever's running marketing currently.
Yeah.
Would you expand on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So like currently we have 2 marketing companies we're contracted with. So instead of having our people go out and find their own, we find them, vet them, negotiate contracts, and then they can choose who they want to work with, right? And we negotiate those fees for them. But one thing that we didn't do early on that we do now is we find a marketing agency in a city that we're not planning on going with, or we ask people for referrals. And then we have someone with 10 or 15 years experience go into the Facebook, the Google AdWords account and audit them, and then do a Loom video full audit report of what they see, good, bad, and ugly. And so early on, we had a marketing company, great results, and then really poor results. And then we did that a little too late.
We did that way too late.
Yeah.
It happens to the best of us.
Right.
Now we don't wait for the complaints. Since we're vetting them right off the bat, we're auditing them ideally before we ever get any issues. Or when the issues come, we can tell our franchisees, hey, we're proactive in this.
Right.
We just had them audited, and this is what it came back as.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're doing now coaching, monthly reports, all that stuff with the marketing team or the marketing teams, because we have plural now. But we definitely learned from that one for sure.
Yeah, I bet. I assume that the number one way franchisees are finding customers has got to be through social media, right?
Google Ads, social media.
Yeah. And do you guys have, so is the plan already set up for them, or do they have to have their own individual accounts? How does that whole?
So we run one corporate social media, right? Because like you were saying earlier, where the individual franchise owner, they bill out at the highest rate. Their time is the most valuable.
Yeah.
With most small business owners right now are spending 2 hours a day on their business social media.
That's a lot.
I cannot afford for our franchise owners to do that.
Yeah.
That's way too.
That's another huge advantage, knowing that they're coming to you and you've got that covered for them. The phones are being answered and the marketing is being done.
Correct. So they're selling and fulfillment and hiring and training.
Yeah.
Great. All right. So I want to hear about the long-term vision for the company. Where are we going with this?
Okay. This is, we just want 100 locations, if not 200.
We're not hitting 1,000.
100, 200, whatever.
Yes, we're not going to go to 1,000 locations.
Frank, how many did you have before you sold?
Well, franchisees, we were probably in the 180 franchisees. I always share that, we have right now, I9 has about 250, 260 franchise owners, and they have 1,000 venues. So each one of our franchise owners has a territory, and then within their territory, they have multiple venues where the games are played. So, I'd say in terms of franchise, it was under 200, but in terms of franchise owners, it's a lot. I mean, the game changes once you hit, I think there's really certain milestones. I think right now where you guys are now in that 24, you're going to look a little different when you're 50, when you're north of 50. And it's going to be really critical to, for you guys to continue to grow, not just grow units, but you guys to grow internally. And I can tell already, you guys are so like open-minded and proactive. You guys are going to have no problem. But a lot of franchisors that are not proactive and open-minded to, and being receptive to change, they stall out around that 50 mark.
Okay.
And that's why, we always talk about this statistic that I've heard from the Fran data people that 84% of all franchisors never get to 100 units.
Yeah.
Wow.
So 100 units is our end goal.
Okay.
Now our current focus is on 40.
Beautiful.
Right. And then at 40, we really have to reassess because we support so heavily. We have to reassess the call center, whether we're taking over an entire building for that. I mean,
yeah, I hear you.
2 floors just for that. And so, or whether we outsource, whatever, however we decide to handle that, we have to reset just because at that point, there'll be different time zones we're handling. So 40, pause, and then we'll keep going to 100.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.